Thank you so much for those of you who are chiming in. I definitely would love to hear your questions. If you have any questions, I will do my best to answer them. Like I said, I'm doing it from my phone, so we'll see how it goes as far as me being able to see if anybody is responding, etc. So let me get started. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Amy Scott. I have a one-on-one coaching practice. I love to help women who are feeling stuck because they're convinced that it's too late to change. That was my story, especially as it relates to weight loss. That's sort of my jam. I myself have lost about 80 pounds, and most of that after the age of 50. So 55 actually. So last week I went live and I spoke about the changes that I was able to make in my life regarding water, that how the effect that water had. That was the very first change that that happened as a result to kind of get me going on my weight loss journey. And I had some great success. Just in my case, eliminating diet sodas was just a really big help, as well as increasing my water intake. And it really did seem that many of the things that water can help with helped, and the weight loss did start happening. For me, the second piece of the puzzle for me that was super essential was something that was a little surprising to me. I just expected, here we go again. I had been a Weight Watcher. For those of you who've done Weight Watchers, I've done Weight Watchers where we had a points, value system, whatever. The points value. I had done a little bit of South Beach diet, so that was like a low carb version. And I thought, well, I am not interested in any of those. So I'm not sure what I'm going to do differently this time, but I know I want to lose weight. I was overweight my entire adult life by about 80 pounds, 50 to 80 pounds, bouncing back and forth within there. And so one of the things that I started doing was I followed Corinne Crabtree, who is the founder and CEO of the No BS Weight Loss Program, listened to her podcast, and this is where I first water, I can handle water. All right, I'm willing to do, try the water thing. And then the next thing I was willing to try is what I'm going to talk about tonight, and that is waiting for hunger. So for those of us who, let me just tell you a little bit about my waiting for hunger, and I'm going to just, you guys you're getting me, it's going to be very interesting, see how this goes with just the phone, but that basically when I first thought of waiting for hunger, I didn't really understand what she was talking about. And not that I don't know what hunger is. I just thought being hungry meant being miserable. That being hungry meant you basically starve, deny. Then when you can't handle it anymore, then you go crazy and eat way too much and overdo it. So that's what I thought waiting for hunger initially meant. I do think that it's possible that I had some past diet trauma as a result of that, and that's where I was sort of like letting myself believe that. I also think that what would happen is I would deny, then I would overeat, then I would feel terrible. So then I would say, that's it, tomorrow I'm not going to eat a thing. And then I would pull back the next day and then not be able to sustain that. Then I would go ahead and overeat the next day as well. Then the beat up came, and the shame and being disgruntled and sad would follow. So, and I thought that also being a little bit hungry meant that something had gone wrong as well. So even though what I didn't understand is that there is a continuum possibly, right? So it was I was either starving or I was overly full that I had to like unbuckle my belt. And I knew I didn't like either one of those. So my solution, and I feel like I did the best I could, right? I didn't know, was to just never be hungry. So I had like a steady stream of calories all day long, feeling like, well, that must be what I need to do to save myself. Because I thought being a little bit hungry meant something was that I was going to starve. Like I really genuinely thought that I was going to be in deprivation mode and really starving. So I would just keep the calories coming. And guess what happened? No surprise, I didn't lose any weight. In fact, I kept yo-yoing. Like sometimes I'd have the starve, the deprivation and overeating. Sometimes I would eat when I'm not physically hungry, eat in the middle of the night, eat late at night, because I wanted to keep that hunger at bay, which I thought was so dangerous. So once I learned that there was a tool from my coach, and it's called the Hunger Scale. And it helped me to realize it didn't have to be all or nothing, like stuffed or deprived. So hopefully you guys can see this. I think it's pretty good. Yeah, holds up pretty good. So there's a thing called a Hunger Scale, and sometimes one of the things and so the Hunger Scale basically is, if you picture a old-fashioned, oh my gosh, my brain just escaped. Number line. There we go. Old-fashioned number line. 0 to 6 or 10 or whatever, and then the negative numbers. When we got to, like, I don't know, 3rd grade, and we learned about negative numbers. So 0 is in the center of this number line, and that's neutral. So if 0 is neutral, then -2 is just waiting for that little bit of hunger. So I didn't realize what that meant physically. So what I had to do first was sort of to experiment with what is hunger feel like in my body, and begin to learn to trust myself with how hunger felt for me in my body. So for me, I noticed I had like an empty, hollow feeling in my stomach, or sometimes I would have a hard time concentrating if I was hungry, focusing on work that I knew I had to do, because I was like, ooh, yep, definitely feeling some, hunger pangs now. Or sometimes my stomach does growl, but never to the point of where I was starving. So the idea of being a little bit hungry is that you get to a 2, not a -6, but get to a -2, and realize, oh, I can be a little bit hungry and I'm safe. I'm okay. Nothing is going wrong. I'm going to be just fine. It's just my body is telling me it's time to eat. And as time went on, I began to learn to trust myself with that hunger scale and that little bit of hunger. So if you are wondering what hunger looks like for you, test it out. So one of the things that I like to do is test to see if it's actual physical hunger, and that is to see if you've eaten in the last 2 or so years, 2 years, sorry, hours. I meant to say hours. I saw Deb Coots. Hey, Deb, I'm so excited you're here. Yay. In the last 2 hours. If it's been 2 hours or more, then chances are you may want to see if you're actually hungry. The other thing is, one of the things that's really helpful too is when I did learn that sometimes it dips down below, is not to freak out, but to realize that my body is actually dining in on the stored calories, that our amazing bodies have the capacity to store calories for us for just such an occasion. And we can dine in on, our little extra, I love to call it my inner tube. I have a little inner tube here that's around my hips and my, this area. And that we can trust our body, and we're not going to be in such deprivation and starvation. So one of the things that I learned as a result of that is to tell myself, and this is a very important phrase right here, hunger is not an emergency. If there's nothing else you take away from this, hunger is not an emergency. We have stored, for those of us who are interested in this topic, possibly we are carrying a few extra pounds, chances are hunger is not an emergency. Now, I am not talking about if you have a physical limitation, if you have a physical issue. Obviously, please, if you're like dizzy or confused or something along those lines, please go see a doctor. However, I'm talking for the most part, those of us who have trouble not eating more than we need, chances are you will be just fine if you can hang in there till your next meal. So let me just see. Oh, the other thing that I love is that when with the hunger scale versus the calorie counting or the point system, you don't have to have like any paperwork or phone or anything with you or an app. You take your stomach, and as you get more trust with yourself, you take your stomach with you wherever you go. So when you go on vacation, when you go to a business meeting, when you are at your son's baseball game. I've had a lot of baseball games, let me just tell you. Your stomach is with you. So you don't have to worry or be anxious about counting calories or how many do I have left for the day or whatever. You just listen to your body and you treat your body with love and obey it. So the last thing I want to talk about is faux hunger, and that's F-A-U-X, as in the French word for false hunger. Many times we think there's that we're feeling hungry when actually we are, like I talked about last week, dehydrated. So try this test this out to see if it's actually real hunger or false hunger. The first thing I usually think about is, when was the last time I ate? If it's within like 2 hours or less, maybe it's false hunger. I also sometimes will take a sip of water, set the timer for 15 minutes, half hour, something like that, and see if the hunger dissipates. A lot of times you'll get busy, you'll be doing something else, and you'll realize, oh my gosh, I wasn't even hungry. I thought I was, but I wasn't. It turns out that was false hunger. Another one that I have been noticing lately, it's so funny because I don't notice it all the time, but I for sure remember doing this very often. And that is in the middle of the night sometimes I will feel like what I think is a hunger pang. And I would just offer that most often, if you are sleeping, your body is not in need of any calories. So chances are that actually is faux hunger. Again, try the drink of water. If you're awake and you're feeling like you can't get back to sleep, a lot of times I would almost guarantee you do not need food as you're sleeping, as your body needs rest. And when I would eat in the middle of the night, actually that would get things moving again. Your digestive system starts working, and that would actually keep me more awake. So another way to test out if it's faux hunger or false hunger or real hunger is what I like to call the broccoli test. If for some reason you're thinking, okay, I'm hungry, so let me think. Would I be willing? Does broccoli sound really good right now? Does a stalk of broccoli or celery or something like kind of unsexy? The other day I was rummaging in the refrigerator, as I do. I think I was a little bored. I was like, let's see, what do we have? And it was, I saw some hard-boiled eggs. I always keep those on hand. And I was like, yeah, no, that's a hard pass, like right now. And then I was like, I'm on to myself. Like, I guess I am not really hungry, because if I was, the hard-boiled eggs would even sound good. So that's like a little clue that you can use to just ask yourself, do the unsexy food test. The other way that you know if it's false hunger is if you have an urge for something. In my case, it comes in so many forms. Usually lately, it's the form of tortilla chips. I'm like a big tortilla chip fan right now. And if you are thinking, the only thing that will satisfy right now is a tortilla chip, chances are it is false hunger. And it's one of those things that might be helpful for you to realize, oh, this is just an urge. And the good news is we're going to talk about that in a future episode. I have that on the schedule, that we were going to talk about how to manage urges, because an urge feels urgent, and it's usually for one type of food, but it is not physical hunger. So something to think about, something to look forward to. Hey, Sandra, it's so nice to see you, by the way. Hi. Okay. So one of the things that I want to talk about is when you are not hungry and it's false hunger, but you're looking for some type of food, chances are, like, check in with your body. It could be boredom. You might be feeling stressed. I call it antsy. It's kind of like fidgety or antsy. Maybe you're looking for some type of distraction or relief. And that is where I come in. So anytime you're looking for a when you're looking for food and you're not physically hungry, this is the opportunity for your coach, that's me, to help you kind of like get under the surface and figure out what's really going on there. What are some of the things you're telling yourself? What are some of those moments that basically your brain is like, I know it's time to eat. I think it's time to eat. I think it's time to let's go. And without judgment, but just with curiosity, this is what I do in my sessions is unpack and try to figure out what was going on at the time that you decided that food sounded like a great idea. And it's amazing that what we learn from that is, oh, there are so many times when here I have been choosing to eat when I'm not physically hungry instead of waiting for actual hunger, that it is getting in the way of my weight loss goals. So for those of you who are interested, I am accepting one-on-one clients. I've got some openings. If you're interested, I have a website that's in the link in the bio. I don't know how to add the thing to the phone because I haven't ever done a phone. I don't know what happened with my computer, but anyway, I will put the link. I have a calendar link that you can just log on to that if you're interested, or just reach out. I would love to see you one-on-one. It'd be amazing. So does anyone have any questions? Anything that didn't seem clear? I will be happy to do the best I can to write back. I know, I think somebody... Oh, I can bring you on. So if anyone wants coaching, oh, isn't that so fun? Okay. Anyway, so if there's any questions, and if not, that's fine too. We can call it a day and be done with tonight's live. I will be talking to next Wednesday, same time, about the other side of the hunger scale, which is the +2, which is when we know we've had enough. Again, this has been such an amazing journey for me to learn to trust my body that basically I didn't have to change my food. I was really sort of nervous about that you can go to McDonald's. You can eat whatever. In my case, I eat all the things because that's what feels best in my body. When I do coach, when we talk about having a protocol and you kind of come up with your own system of what works best for you. In my case, I do eat all the things and I love it. And I just listen to my body's cues and I was able to lose weight that way. So hopefully that will be encouraging for you. And it was so great to see everybody. Any questions? Last chance for questions. All right. Thanks for the heart. Love it. Take care. Oh, wait, there's one. Oh, hang on. Gotta get the specs out. So, yes. If you just do want to. So Deb Coote says, what an amazing thing you can tell yourself when you want to convince yourself that you just want to do it just this one day. I love that. That's an amazing thought that basically, yeah, just take one day at a time. And it's basically, you can calm yourself down. I think that in my case, I really genuinely thought I was going to die. Like I know I joke about like, I'm going to die. We always say that like, oh my gosh, I think I'm going to die. But the truth is, I think our brain, because of maybe some past diet trauma, we genuinely feel fear, like genuine fear. So I love that thought of just, let's try it. Can I do it? Can I just try it for one day and see how it goes? And then eventually one day turns into many days. And it's been, in my case, 3 years that I've been able to maintain my weight or less since I reached my goal. So, all right, everyone, have a wonderful evening and we will talk to you next week. Take care. Bye.